Welcome in, I'm Adrian Fort, and we are here for the first of a 138-part series as we travel poem by poem through. You feel so alone. You get so alone at times that it just makes sense. We're going to be going poem by poem through this in a series called Alone with Bukowski. But Adrian, why not just do poetry discussions? What makes this a series in itself? Shut up, I'm about to tell you. What we're going to be doing, poem by poem through You Get So Alone at Times That It Just Makes Sense, is taking the Bukowski poem and looking at it with another poem, a poem which matches somewhat thematically. This first poem being 1813 through 1883. And it is as such. Listening to Wagner, as outside in the dark the wind blows a cold rain, the trees wave and shake, lights go off and on, the walls creak, and the cats run under the bed. Wagner battles the agonies. He's emotional but solid. He's the supreme fighter, a giant in a world of pygmies. He takes it straight on through. He breaks barriers, an astonishing force of sound as everything here shakes, shivers, bends, blasts in fierce gamble. Yes, Wagner. And the storm intermix with wine as nights like this run up my wrists and up into my head and back down into the gut. Some men never die, and some men never live. But we're all alive tonight. With what poem will we be contrasting this? How about Sonnet 83 from Billy Shakespeare? Sonnet 83. That time of year thou mayest in me behold, when yellow leaves or none or few do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold. Bare ruined choirs where late the sweet birds sang. In me thou seest the twilight of such day, as after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by black night doth take away, death's second self, that seals up all in rest. In me thou seest the glowing of such fire, that on the ashes of his youth doth lie, as in the deathbed, whereon it must expire, consumed with that which it was nourished by. That this thou perceivest, which makes thy love more strong, to love that well which thou must leave ere long. So in each of these poems, the natural order is bringing forth thoughts of mortality in the speaker. In Bukowski, this is a storm. What is the storm in the Bukowski poem? It is live and it is vibrant and it is violent and brutal and frenetic. Everything shakes, shivers, bends, blasts in fierce gamble. Fierce gamble. Gamble, the word gamble. I want you to put that in the front of your brain, and I want you to roll over the word gamble. Gamble, 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 because we're going to come back to a thought very much like this towards the end of the video. In Shakespeare, what brings forth the thoughts of death is the fall season. Grandiose, autumnal, everything turning quiet and dark and dour. Trees losing their leaves, the nip of cold in the air. Upon those boughs which shake against the cold. So that's our starting point. But what makes these themes similar or different within the poems? Each poem channels the very essence or the rhythm of the night. Each of these nights is shown as a lonely venture. And the essence of this night, that time when it feels like the world is on your shoulders and all of the madness has got you going crazy. That's a lonely night. And perhaps, during that lonely night, you might choose to kill those emotions with a Corona. Nothing? Nothing? I get nothing for that? Okay, that's fine. Shakespeare's night is traditional. Shakespeare's night is sleep, the natural rhythm of a person. It is universal. That night brings sleep. It is supposed to be that way. It has to be that way. Your eyelids are only so thick for a reason. They're not meant to keep out the day light while you try to sleep during the day. This is the way things are supposed to be. Shakespeare adopts that and finds the best way to express it, the universality of it. In this poem, sleep is credited as death's second self. Death's second self, that's what sleep is. You look kind of dead when you're asleep. And in Shakespeare's day, if you passed while you were asleep, no one would know it until you didn't wake up in the morning. Not everybody was in a hospital to die, right? You just passed it sometime during the night. Not so in Bukowski. In Bukowski, we're all alive tonight. We're all alive tonight. Bukowski is up during the night hours. He is nocturnal. He does not accept your rhythm, does not accept the essence of the night which you paint and accept. The community's night, Bukowski doesn't give a damn. Each poem also has an overture to music. In Shakespeare, bare ruin choirs where late the sweet birds sang. But in Bukowski, this is Wagner. This is the astonishing force of Wagner. These nights are disparate. These musics are disparate. These very ideas of death itself are disparate. So what deaths might these be? Whence come these mortalities? Shakespeare, in the sonnet form, traditional and classic, is giving us the inevitable death. Like fall, it's going to come. It is predictable. We know it will happen. We can even kind of time it if things have gone all right. This makes it universally relatable or literary. This is the literary death. Grand as it must be. The literary death, grand as it must be. It is the final period on the sentence. Full stop. It is a depressive thing. It is the depressive thing. But what death is Bukowski giving us? Bukowski is showing us a death like the motherfucking police. Jump a couple fences and duck down the right alley, and he might miss you this time. But he's coming back. He's still looking. You know you've broken the law and you're going to jail. This is a manic death. Manic is not the type of term we would normally attribute to something like death. Depressive is the term we might normally attribute to something like death. Shakespeare accepts the norm and finds ironies within this norm to give us, but gives us what we're expecting. Gives us that depressive death. Whereas Bukowski gives us the manic death. The death that maybe you could hoodwink for a while, for a month or two. Somehow he's kept skating on by, despite the fact that he lives the life that he does. So I think that is a, I think that loneliness, that being alone, that lonerdom, is one of the things through which we can understand Bukowski. But we can understand the lonely best through company. And with this comparison, we're able a little bit to better understand finality for Bukowski. The final has to come, sure, but maybe a little later. So that is it for episode 1 of Alone with Bukowski, as we compared 1813 through 1883 to Sonnet 73 by Billy Wigglestick. I hope that you enjoyed this. This is something that I am looking forward to going poem by poem through. And the next poem is Red Mercedes from Bukowski. If you like this sort of thing, hit the like button. If you'd like to help me grow here on the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button, maybe share this on some form of social media, and I hope to see you back here for Red Mercedes by Charles Bukowski. Fuck me.